Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, it is NASCAR driver Brendan Gaughan, who is set to join us, our very first guest on Let's Go Racing. And David Starr joins us right now. David, how you doing, my friend? What's going on with you?
Man, guys, I'm doing great. Just been on the road, just going by, seeing all my partners, meeting with some new companies, and trying to introduce them to the world of NASCAR racing. But just been busy, just jumping from meeting to meeting, just traveling the roads, just seeing everybody, just trying to figure out what our budget's going to look like, so we can announce what we're going to do in 2021. And man, I'm excited about our show today, so it's pretty awesome. But I've been real busy and looking forward just to getting to Daytona and getting the season started for sure.
Oh, no doubt about it. Dominic Aragon for the RacingExperts.com joins us as well. Dominic, how we doing, man?
Doing great, man. Happy to be here. 6 show on the road, and these things just keep clicking off faster and faster. But yeah, we're 6 shows in and just been spending time with the family and just trying to make the most out of the pandemic and the situation we're all in.
Well, hope you guys are off to a good start to 2021. And David, we've spent the last several weeks telling your story and talking about your background, where you came from, and all forms of racing. And now, over the next few weeks, we're going to start to bring in more guests from time to time. We'll announce at the end of the show who we'll bring on next week. But David, tell us about Brendan Gaughan, who NASCAR fans, I'm sure, are very familiar with, but we're all going to learn a thing or two about today.
No doubt about it. Probably one of the coolest guys that I ever raced with, and one of the best race car drivers I ever raced against. But just a great guy. He's so good for our sport. If all the other competitors were like Brendan, our sport would just be perfect. It's almost perfect, but it ain't quite there. But he's just a hell of a race car driver and a great guy, and the fans love him. He knows how the sport works, and man, he was. I didn't beat him too often. He was hard to beat, but he's got a great, he's got a good story, and he's, not only a NASCAR driver. I mean, he's done all kinds of racing, So I'm excited to bring him in. And Brendan, welcome, buddy.
Well, that's a hell of an intro. It's tough to keep up with that intro. I hope I can, live up to that muster you just gave me. But no,
oh, hell.
Listen, we've been friends a long time. We had a lot of fun. And David, if the whole sport was like me, I don't know if NASCAR might close down. I think we'd be a little bit of trouble, but had some fun. We had some fun.
Yes, we have.
You realize we've been racing against each other since like 2000, 2001?
Dude, it's been a long time. I think I'm going on my 24th year in 2000 and this coming season. And, you've been right there with me ever since I can remember, and, it's just, I don't know. We were the love for the sport we have, and man, it was just awesome. And especially looking back on our truck days, man, God, you dominated, and it was kind of cool, that we raced so, all the guys we raced with, it was very competitive, and the camaraderie we had with all the competitors. But man, you went on to do some cool stuff, driving for Roger Penske, and just, I'm just thinking, my head, hell. Last time I remember seeing you, hell, you were going for the lead with 1 lap to go at Talladega. Next thing you know, you're flipping. You know what I mean? So you've done some cool stuff in your career, And but man, where did it all start at? How did you get to NASCAR? What were you doing? And did you want to be a NASCAR driver? How did kind of tell the fans, how it all came to be? How did it start? Where did that dream start at?
Well, look, I'm from Las Vegas, as most everybody knows. They've kind of been synonymous with the town. And out here, we started in the desert. David, I think you went for a ride with me one time over the years. Didn't you come out with me one day with Matt Dillon or something like that?
Nuts, man. Absolutely, I did.
And so but I came from the desert, and that's what I did. And when I was growing up, I did a lot of sports cars. I did a lot of teaching at schools. I did, and yes, this fat kid used to fit in an Indy car. I was trying to go IndyCar racing because back in the 90s, if you were a desert racer, you wanted to go IndyCar racing. That's where there was no NASCAR trucks yet. I'm right. Old. Me and you, David, we remember an era before these kids now. In the early 90s, there was no truck series.
No, there wasn't.
And an off-roader, you had Robbie Gordon doing IndyCar. You had Rick Mears that was an IndyCar driver that was a famous off-roader, Parnelli Jones. We went IndyCar racing. That's what we tried to do.
Wow.
So for me, I spent my early years in the early 90s racing the desert, teaching sports cars, driving sports cars, trying to do anything with Robbie Gordon I could do. He was at Tom Gloy's doing test driving, trying to just get into that deal. And everybody, I do joke because everybody looks at me now and I go, yeah, fat kid. Okay. I wasn't always this fat, but
did you ever drive an Indy car?
I drove one in '94 before it merged. So when it was still, PPG racing, Indy car racing before it became IRL.
Sure.
And then I tested for Sam Schmidt when it was IRL. So I mean, I was going to do some driving there, but my mother was really not have been happy if I didn't. And then now I would love to go back and do it, but there ain't enough Vaseline and butter to get me into it anymore. I would fill that baby out and it would look rather disgusting.
Well, one thing about it, I know if you was able, there was enough Vaseline to slide you in, I definitely think you would be very competitive.
I mean, look, I had one day. I would have liked to have tried it and done some, but now I'm just having fun with my off-road stuff. But where we came from was there. That's where it started. Mm-hmm. I was going to college and I was playing college football and college basketball, racing off-road at the time. And that's when Walker Evans and a bunch of off-roaders went to Bill France in the mid-90s and sold him this idea on NASCAR trucks.
Absolutely. And
I still remember the very first California Super Truck before it was the Truck Series.
Right, absolutely.
And Walker Evans raced in it. We had this truck in the shop, and it's like, I'm like, what are you guys thinking with this thing? I mean,
never knew what it was going to turn into.
And Bill Jr. loved it. Mr. France thought it was the greatest thing, bought the idea, thankfully for me, thankfully for you, because it was, it opened up an avenue that was really not there. You only had Cup and Busch. Mm-hmm. You didn't have, really you had weekly racing, you had Winston West, which we did, you had, all that, but you didn't have another national brand that the trucks became. And when I graduated college, Walker came and said, come drive this truck. And I went, okay.
And Walker, he was a heck of a guy. And the cool thing about him, as a kid growing up, when they would have off-road on television, you would see Walker Evans. He was like the Richard Petty of off-road racing. You know what I mean? It's like
there was Ivan Stewart was the Iron Man. Walker Evans was the legend. And that was the two main. They were the Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon. They were the Richard Petty, Darrell Waltrip.
Absolutely.
That was who they were, and Walker was one of the founders of that deal, and just said, "Come drive." I went to drive. That's where we started.
And the cool thing about Walker, man, when you were racing, if you were looking, you would see Walker Evans. That guy, I think he followed you to the end. I mean,
he's still there. He's still there.
Big fan of yours, man. He was always there. And I said, man, I can't believe that's Walker Evans, and I think he ran a couple of truck races with us. And but it was just cool to be in the presence of that man. You know what I mean? And y'all were just great friends. And I remember you driving for him. But man, that's a pretty cool story right there.
Well, the legend. I've been together. I mean, if you look at my Instagram page,
right,
the little picture that's my Instagram dot.
Okay.
A picture of me at like 9 years old, 8 years old, in a bar in Mexico, sitting on Walker's lap.
I didn't know it went that far back. Wow.
Walker started driving. My dad started sponsoring Walker in 1980, 81. They met in the desert. Dad and Walker were pre-running, and there's a famous old story. It's great to hear them say it, but you got to hear my dad say it, David, because they were.
Imagine.
My dad was stuck, and Walker showed up, and they're going to help pull him out. And so Walker helps pull my dad out, and they get out of the desert. And that's how my dad met Walker Evans, and they've been friends since. And my dad always says, "Yeah, and if I knew then what I knew now, I'd have stayed. I
would have stayed stuck
in the desert." It's like, that sounds like you said about his son too, so it all works.
Oh man, that's funny. So anyway, Walker Evans put you in this super truck, and you did well. How'd it go? And then did you know right then that that's the avenue? I mean, that was had it become the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series yet? How did all that work out?
At the time I was still finishing up, my college days, and
Right.
and I really thought I was going to play. I was wanting to play football, and racing was just a hobby.
Sure.
And as I got better at the off-road racing and stuff, and people started saying I could do it for a living, I had sponsors, and Justice Brothers been sponsoring me since I was 15, and I had guys paying bills, and Walker was like, "You can do this for a living. Let's go." So we did one truck race in '97.
Wow.
That never forget it. I passed Bill Elliott. I freaked out on the radio saying, "I passed Bill Elliott. I passed Bill Elliott." I hit the wall the next lap. And,
You hit the wall the next lap?
oh yeah, no, Pile Grove, turn 4, coming off Vegas Speedway. I didn't know NASCAR guys. I knew IndyCar guys.
Absolutely.
The only NASCAR guy I knew, I've heard of Dale Earnhardt, and I knew Bill Elliott. I thought, awesome Bill from Dawsonville, man, $1 Million Bill. It's like,
You passed him.
Well, dude, passed him on like lap 10. Drove right by him. I'm like, this stuff's easy. And I screamed, I passed Bill Elliott. I passed Bill Elliott. And Randy Anderson going, calm down, settle down. Wham! I'm like, yep.
Hey, man, you celebrated all the way until you hit the wall.
Celebrated all the way to that hit.
Oh, heck, man.
So we went back, and then we said, hey, let's go do this NASCAR thing. We dropped down to Winston West.
Yeah.
And we did Winston West part-time and trucks part-time.
Right.
And then in 1999 decided to go full-time in Winston West. And we did Winston West full-time and a couple truck races here and there. And, they always tell you, David, I think if you have other drivers, and you and I would say the same thing, you and I have heard the same anecdotes all through the years, right? Everybody, in order to finish first, you must first finish.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you got to, Dominic and Tyler, you guys are young. You're reporting on all these kids now that are coming in.
Right.
You're going to hear it a million times.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to finish. In order to finish first, you got to learn all these things. Yeah, screw you. I know what I'm doing. Leave me alone. Well, I had to learn how to finish. And what taught me how to finish was 2 broken ribs, loss of 1 eyebrow. And if you notice, I have a lot of eyebrow. When I lose one, it's pretty big.
It gets your attention, doesn't it?
And I broke 2 ribs at California Speedway. I was always fast, David, but I didn't know how to drive. I could beat fast, but I didn't know how to finish. And the 2 ribs and the eyebrow woke me up, and we started to learn how to finish. And then, a couple great things happened. One, I got to go race in 1998 at Motegi, Japan.
Dude, I remember that. That was a big deal. Dale Earnhardt was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, it was a cup race. It was the Winston Cup race in Motegi, and I drove for Bill McAnally and the Napa team, and that was where I met Bill McAnally and the Napa guys, and we had an amazing day. With 15 laps to go, we're running 9th. Dude,
that's awesome.
And I'll leave the story alone as to who got us a black flag. and we had a great day going. We crashed with like 10 laps to go. Bobby Hamilton and I, big crash.
Right.
But that was just a phenomenal day for me. I mean, my 5th race ever. I'm in a cup race in Japan. This was so cool. I meet Bill McAnally, and at the end of '99, we're going to leave Walker Evans, and we form what you remember was the Orleans Racing Team.
Dude, I remember it, man. It was very successful.
we had some good times, and Bill moved to Vegas, and we got this team together, and I had Napa Auto Parts, and I'll never forget the first meeting we had with Napa, David, and you get this because you and I are similar, and I was a lot more cocky back then. I was told I was going to meet all the Napa people.
Right.
I was told, don't come out there and make bold predictions or promises. Just be humble, this and that. And Bill McAnally, God, I love Bill McAnally, but Bill McAnally likes to write full speeches.
Right.
Have them written.
Come on, I don't write speeches, man. I just talk from my heart.
And Bill back then was so nervous about this. He'd go, "Hi, my name is Bill McAnally, and I'm driving the Napa Auto Parts Chevy." That was like Bill giving a speech, and I used to kill him. He wanted me to write a speech for this first speech. And I remember we're in an amphitheater in Arizona, and they got like 500 Napa people there, and they're going to introduce me as the new driver.
Right.
And I walk in, and Bill had this whole speech. He wrote most of it. He wanted me to write it, and he got this whole thing. I jump up on stage. I get in front of that podium, and I go,
That's awesome, man.
and Bill looks, and I go, because he had just won the championship in '99 with Sean Woodside.
Right.
I mean, I replaced the champion driver.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some pressure. I
Absolutely.
I said, we're going to win a bunch of races this year, and we're going to win that championship back to back.
Wow.
And Bill's
I
going,
think you did it, didn't you?
We did.
That's right. That's
a couple races that year. We won the champ, but right off the bat, Bill's just in the crowd going. And his head's down. He
should have known you by now, dude. Come on.
Well, he didn't know me then. He knew her after that. We did that, and then that year we started driving part time with our old buddy, me and you, Todd Myers.
Oh wait, yeah, Todd Myers, man, absolutely.
The old Mr. Ferris, the TKO team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You and I both drove.
We did. We both drove there. Yep, sure did.
Great people. That was a great team, great man. Family was a great family. Great fast Dodge trucks.
Right.
Started Jamie McMurray's career.
Absolutely did.
Started my career. That team was a jump starter.
It was. It was a great team too. Their trucks were fast, really fast.
Texas, man. Finished second for them at Texas in 2001. My first top five, or not my first second place finish was for them in 2001 in that TKO Dodge. And dude, that was.
Dude, you must have learned something from that TKO Dodge, because what everybody knows, but Brendan was the man at Texas. I mean, I don't know how many wins you had there, but I think you won 5 or 6 times. Four in a row. Unbelievable. I mean, dude, it was unbelievable, guys. I mean, I remember one time I was near you, and I was like, how is he going through the corners that fast? I mean, I don't know if you ever lifted, but I mean, you were amazing. You know what I mean? And I'm like, God, how is he doing that? How's that truck capable of doing what it did? But man, it was unbelievable. It was unheard of. I mean, to win 4 in a row. I mean, when we were all going to Texas, everybody knew if you're going to win that race, you're going to have to beat Brendan. And I'm thinking, and after about 2 wins, I'm thinking there's no way. If he's going to, you had it figured out.
Well, I remember the first race that I won. You might remember this. Rick Crawford, you and I, you and I got trapped a lap down because of like fuel or something.
Right.
And we're battling for the caution comes out, and to the young guys, Tyler, we used to race back to the caution.
Yes, we did.
Now, you want to talk about one of the dumbest ideas in the history of mankind. There's a giant crash. 6 cars are sitting dead on the racetrack, and we're doing 200 miles an hour racing through them to the to the start-finish line to get the yellow.
To get the lucky dog, man. Absolutely.
It was a whole different mindset.
Absolutely.
But what you did have to learn, you had to learn respect back then. And that's what I think the kids miss nowadays, David, is, you give a lap back to somebody or not give a lap back based on how they raced you, right? I mean,
absolutely. They return to favor. You know what I mean? It's like give and take.
Yep. And so Rick Crawford was leading the race. You and I were battling for like staying on the lead lap.
Right.
And I remember it was me and you because back then you were at the Spears truck.
Right.
It was you and the Spears truck, and we both had the pitted at the same time. We're battling. Right. I was just a little in front of you, and the caution came out, and Rick Crawford had just lapped us both.
Right.
And we were hauling the mail to try to get the lead lap back, and Rick lifted.
And let you go by
like an inch and a half. Like it was one of those photo things where they just got the picture that
right.
I got flat back, and you didn't. And you were faster than me.
Right.
During that whole first run. You were faster. You were the fastest truck on the track, and me and you were trapped a lap down.
Right.
And Rick gave me the lap back, and I went on to win the race. And I remember he always told me, he goes, well, that's the last time I'm ever going to give you a lap. And
hey, you guys,
you were fast as hell that race, but we were trapped down a lap.
Yeah. And, that just goes back, we were all buddies. Rick Crawford, Brendan, myself, we were just buddies. And then later on in our careers, we actually drove for Tom Mitchell. We were teammates with him. I was teammate with him for a year. And then I went on to do something else. And then Brendan was teammates with him. But man, fun times back then. I just, hearing you talk about that race, kind of brings back memories of it. But that was pretty cool. He gave you your lap back, but he told you that was the last time that you could ever.
Once you start winning races, you don't give people a lap back. You keep your foot on their neck and make their lap down.
Well, he's thinking to himself, if I'd have never give Brendan that lap back, I might have won that race. You know what I'm saying? You know. So, but man,
Ford second or third that day too. So,
yeah,
no, and you named some great people. I mean, we've had some fun. I mean, the Spears folks. You want to talk about a group of people that were so instrumental to the Truck Series becoming what it became.
Absolutely.
And put so much of their life into this sport. Kevin Harvick started driving for the Spears in the Winston West and in the truck, and you drove for the Spears. I mean, that was a great family. Those guys.
They were Wayne and Connie Spears were awesome. And I remember when Kevin got wind that I went to go work for him, he come over and saw me and he said, "Hey man, let's talk for a minute," you know. So he said, "Let's go walk around. Let's get away from the trailer." Because Connie and Wayne were there, and he said, "Hey man, you need to get inside. You need to get here, and you need to win a race quick." And he said because they're really not known to really marry up with the driver. You know what I mean? They like to switch drivers, and so get in there, try to win your race. And Kevin said, "Man, you want a race or two? It's going to really help you." And the next thing you know, man, I think I was there for 6 years. You know, I remember 3 or 4 years later. He said, "Man, what the heck did you do?" You know, I said, "Man, I don't know. I didn't really do anything. I just just loved to race, and treated them with respect. You know, I let them know how much I appreciated what they did for me. You know, like you were just talking earlier, Brendan, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series really gave a lot of us drivers that maybe wouldn't have had a chance to race at that level, make a living at it. It opened up a lot of doors for yourself, for me, and for so many others. So it was really a cool series.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Tyler Jones here, David Starr, Dominic Aragon of the RacingExperts.com. We're joined by the great Brendan Gaughan here on episode number 7 of Let's Go Racing. Dominic, what you got, man?
Yeah, well, I'm curious how you guys met. Like the first time you guys linked up, what was that encounter like, and did you guys hit it off right off the bat?
Man,
I can't remember the very first time. David, can you?
I don't even remember. I don't remember. I just knew this, like, man, this guy, it's like you couldn't help but like him. He was just so likable. You see his personality. He was happy all the time, animated and good. And I don't know, man. It was just I don't even remember how.
What I remember is we both were young and single.
Yeah, we were.
And
we're both not now.
But I just remember that at that time you had the Ron Horner days.
Absolutely.
And the Jack Spraggs. And Johnny Benson was there a lot, and Ted Musgrave, and Joe Ruttmans. And you had these guys that were these big veterans. And you and I were both a little bit older than the young kids.
Yes.
Because there was a group of guys that were younger than us. Because I'm 45. You're what, 40?
No, I'm 52.
I always forget that. I'm sorry. Or even that because you don't. I mean, hell, I look like I'm 60.
No, you don't,
but you and I were that. We were above the young kids, but we both were single. We met. We were having fun. We raced each other hard. And I mean, we grew up. I raced you like you raced me.
Absolutely,
so
man.
If you race me like a jerk, I'm going to race you like a jerk back. And if you really be clean and give and take, and we learn, we're going to get along just fine. And you and I, like right off the bat, racing Spears car. I had respect for the Spears family.
Right.
We raced well around each other when he was fast. And I'm not going to hold your ass up. Get going.
That's right.
And vice versa. And then we had we battled for a bunch of great races. But we both were goofy. We both were that same kind of age group where we both, the elevator doesn't go all the way to the top in either of us. We got along really well. But I honestly, Dominic, I can't say, oh, this is when I met David. Right. I had heard about him from the trucks because I wasn't a truck guy. So when I got in there, he was a guy that, I kind of went to that was my age for advice.
Absolutely. But man, it was just a fun time, and it was cool because once you got in the truck series and you got established and started winning all those races. Hell, I think you won Gateway, Michigan.
Michigan was a fun one. Michigan's one I'll remember for always. Won Vegas, won my home trip. Actually, no, you remember that? I won Vegas. You won Vegas the year before.
Okay, that's right. I won the pole there and then ended up winning the race.
That's what it was. You got the pole, and you're like, I'm like, well, you got Vegas, I got Texas. She's like, we'll switch. I'll tell you what, we'll switch it. And the next year I won Vegas. In 2003 I won Vegas. And you kept winning Texas. You didn't switch with me. You know what I mean? So I broke the deal. I apologize.
That's okay. But man, you know, it was kind of cool because you were winning a lot of West and West races. Even when you stepped off in the truck, you were still stepping back in and running the West and West races and winning them. And it was fun to, you know, my Uncle Mike wanted to take one of our racing school cars out of our racing school. We would go run 2 or 3 Winston West races, but it was always cool because Brendan was he was the guy that was going to win. Johnny Benson was there, Kenny Strader, you know, some others that were pretty strong and fast. I don't remember exactly what their names were, but very competitive series. And it was fun when we ran NASCAR Winston West. It's not the same anymore, you know what I mean? But God, that was fun.
Talking about Uncle Mike, the Texas racing experience, baby. Come on. I used to you guys had that long ass limo parked out. You guys, well, and we used to go to Texas World Speedway and test.
Oh man!
But your Uncle Mike was always great to me. He let me, if I needed to give a ride to somebody important, you know, he never said no to me when it came to Texas. And I haven't talked about your Uncle Mike forever. How's he doing? He's still, the school's still open. What do you got now?
Man, the school's doing great. You know, obviously with the pandemic, it's been shut down, but you know, the racing school's been awesome all these years. You know, he's so passionate about it. It has such an awesome school and the race cars and the engines. It's just awesome, man. I'm very proud of what he has built. And maybe one day I'll own all of it, and then that'll be my next career. But man, that NASCAR school that we have is pretty awesome, you know. And man, Brendan, speaking about Texas World Speedway, man, what a great place that was, wasn't it?
I'm telling you, the kids don't know what they missed, man. That place and testing there, you know, I tried to get a hold of somebody. They just finally tore it down.
Yeah, I went by there.
Circular sign, and I tried to get a hold of somebody because I wanted to buy that sign.
Hey, man, you know who has it, don't you?
No, who?
You're looking at him.
You got the Texas World Speedway sign. The circle, the one that was on the Texas.
I have it.
Dude, then it's at the right place because it's Texas more to you than me.
That place was so, man, you know, it was just special, man. People don't have no clue how fast it was, you know.
I got goosebumps talking about it. I mean, I know this is podcast, it's radio. I literally have goosebumps thinking about Texas World and what it did for me. David, we used to go down there before every Texas race.
Yeah.
We kept every tire. It didn't matter if the tire was brand new or old. We kept every tire all year because you only got 6 laps. You could
was that wore out.
Yeah, 3 2-lap runs. That was it. And that big old jump going into turn 1 where the tunnel.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
Dude, my engineer used to laugh, and I say I flat-footed, and he'd look at the data and he goes, "No, you didn't. There's a you know."
That's
right there. That's the firewall flex. They go, the firewall flex. It was a firewall flex. That place was mean. I hit a turtle there one day, David.
You hit a turtle?
Oh, dude, destroyed the grill. Took the valence off. Valence, not splitter. Took the valence off, wrecked the rate. It ended the test because we nailed the turtle. And, that place.
That place, man, y'all tested there, and then you would show up at the Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth, Texas, and he would win. So testing at Texas World Speedway, whatever y'all did, it worked.
No, that was our deal. We went there every race for 4 years. Every time we went to Texas Motor Speedway, we'd go to Texas World first, and we would test for 2 days. We had hurricanes blow through and scare the crap out of us. We played bumper rental cars on the road course that the SBRA thing that was out there.
Absolutely.
We did so much stuff at Texas World that I couldn't even begin to tell you how much fun it was.
It's awesome.
And it's College Station. I mean,
absolutely. College town, man.
Everybody to College Station.
Oh, yeah.
The two boys look like they're barely old enough to know what, about that stuff.
I've been to College Station a few times. I know what you guys are talking about a little bit. But a question for both of you. What's some of the favorite memories you have over the years of just each other and such?
Oh, man, just racing with Brendan, just his family, his mom and dad, and, his team, they were, his crew chief, just everybody that was associated with Brendan Gaughan and their racing team were just class acts, you know what I mean? And, not only myself, we wanted to hang out with them and go party with them and just go to dinner with them, but everybody did, you know what I mean? They were just, they were a fun group for a long time and successful and just, man, I don't know. It was just fun to race with him on the racetrack. And hell, when you get done racing, he just, he's such a great guy. You wanted to hang out with him, so just, Brendan was just such a great racer and hard to beat, but, if you beat him, you did something special, you know what I mean, along with everybody else we were racing with. I mean, the talent that he spoke about earlier, Joe Ruttman, Ron Hornaday, just on and on and on, Mike Skinner, and Rick Crawford, and Dennis Setzer, just all the different people, man. It was, I tell you what, the truck series, when we were involved in it, it was stacked high, man. It was tough. If you won a race, Brendan won more races than I did, and let me tell you, when you won a race, you did something special because, man, the talent level was unbelievable,
And for me, look, David was one of the guys, like I said, I wasn't a NASCAR guy. I came from a totally different world. And when I came in, I had Butch Miller, who was a guy that was coaching me, driving for Walker Evans originally. And I took Ron Hornaday's wife, is
Lindsay.
She's the daughter of a very famous off-roader named Wild Bill Foster. And so, I knew Wild Bill Foster. He's an idol of mine in the desert. So, I took to Ron a little bit. But the first guy that I really can say that I was like, hey, I wanted to be friends with was David. And driving for the Spears. And to me, I go back to that Spears days because that's where really we had the best, probably the best equipment of our lives.
Absolutely.
Was those years. And we raced hard against each other. And then all through the years, though, it's just, you watch us both grow up and he meets Kim and he's got a couple kids and I meet Tatum and I got a couple kids and you watch us go from these two guys that all we wanted to do is go out, party,
and
be younger and race and to do this to then you watch our lives go together. It's just, to me, it's been 20 plus years of just, hey, this is my buddy David. We race hard, but he's my buddy David. I miss him when I don't get to see him. When I'm gone a long time, it's like I love seeing him. These are the things I miss at the racetrack.
Sure. Is
seeing my buddies like David and those deals because that's the part of the sport that I miss. The only part that I miss.
Yeah, Brendan, it's kind of cool. You're talking about Napa Auto Parts. I think about Napa Auto Parts, and when I thought about Brendan Gaughan, I thought about Napa. You know what I mean? You kind of like when you think of Dale Jarrett, you think of
UPS,
you know what I mean? And Viagra, Mark Martin, but man, you had such a long relationship with Napa, you know what I mean? And to see, what they done in our sport, and then to be the 2020 champion with Chase Elliott, man, they, and you got to feel kind of proud that, you and Bill McElhinney, y'all were the first ones to bring that national auto sports change into our sport. You know what I'm saying? So
look, Napa worked hard. Napa had build, then they had the Ron Hornaday championships for the early days of the trucks, and we had our championships with Napa and our race wins with Napa, and this is a company that stuck with our sport. They believe in the NASCAR product.
Absolutely.
All through the Michael Waltrip years, where Michael made great commercials for him, won some big races for him. They stuck and stayed, and they believe in this sport. And I really, my retirement year in 2017, they gave me permission to run my Napa scheme at Darlington at the throwback.
Dude,
and I
awesome,
said,
man.
You're too old when you're running your own throwback. Now you definitely know that it's time to get out. That when you're running your own throwback, there's two things, David, that told me it was time to leave. One, I ran my own throwback scheme at Darlington.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
And two, I raced against my first grandchild. I raced against Butch Gilliland for a championship.
Yep, I remember.
I raced against David Gilliland for many championships.
Absolutely.
And then I raced against Todd Gilliland. And I said, I've raced a grandchild. I'm done.
You raced 3 generations, dude. Isn't that amazing?
3 generations of one family. I've been here long enough. I'm done.
Oh,
Napa,
man.
I'll tell you what, I was so proud of what Chase Elliott did. Look, I like Chase. I mean, once again, Bill Elliott, only guy I knew, crashed when I passed him. So, I mean, kind of a thing there. But I'm more happy for Napa. There's not a company that deserves that more than Napa Auto Parts in our sport. They've given to the sport. They've stayed with the sport. They've stuck with the sport, thick and thin, wins, no wins. They stuck with it, and they got a cup championship, and they deserve it.
That's Napa know-how right there.
Yes, it is. That's good, Tyler.
Dominic, what else you got for us?
Yeah, no, I'm curious on the flip side of that, since you guys did a lot of racing over the years against each other, did you guys ever have any on-track incidents or scuffles?
You know, like I said, David and I race each other like
hard.
We race each other hard, but putting a donut on David was one thing. Putting a bumper on David was one thing. But I mean, if we ever wrecked each other, it would have, that it was purely a racing deal. I mean, it happens. I mean, this is racing. Things happen. But I can't remember one time, David, that you and I just flat out went out and just pounded each other and said, what the hell? I mean, I can't name one.
I can't either, man. We raced a lot, and I don't remember ever one
time. A lot. I mean, in those early years, we spent a lot of time near each other.
Yes, we did.
I don't remember us ever making a mistake that wrecked each other or, I mean, I remember donuts. I remember leaning and
banging, but we raced hard against each other, and when we should have, and we did, but never did we ever take each other out or do something dirty to each other. You know what I mean? It's
plenty I did that to, and there's plenty I don't like about it.
That's awesome. Hey, Brendan, share with the fans and share with everybody, man, you did so well the Chuck Series, and, looking back, man, being able to drive for Roger Penske, I mean, there's not a lot of people in our industry that have a chance to racing cup, just to go cup racing, period, but to drive for the captain, you know what I mean? Roger Penske that's the ultimate, and I think in NASCAR racing, don't get much better than that.
Well, remember, I told you I'm an IndyCar guy, right?
Absolutely.
So who would be the main guy in NASCAR that I want to drive for?
Roger Penske, man.
Rick Mears, one of the first names I told you. Yeah. Rick Mears was famous with Roger Penske. My dad was teammates with Rick Mears in the 1970s on the Sandmaster Racing team in the desert.
That's amazing, man.
The Mears family, Casey and I were teammates at 15 years old, racing Mickey Thompson Stadium racing.
Wow, I had no idea. Wow.
Grandpa Mears and Grandma Mears used to take care of me at the racetrack when I was a kid at the desert races, watching Roger, Casey's brother Roger and Rick and all of us. I've hung out with the Mears my whole life. So to me, it was like, oh my God, Roger Penske. Sure. Emerson Fittipaldi and my dad go way back. My
Emerson Fittipaldi.
Yeah, Emma and my dad have been friends forever. There's a story that I may have conceived on Emma's boat, but I don't want to talk about that.
Is that Max Baptist's father-in-law? I mean, is he?
Father-in-law.
Okay, okay.
I've known Tati most of my life. I mean, these are people that, to me, Rick and Emma were the race car drivers that I was the most, in tune and attracted to. Right. Roger Penske was the place. And I got a phone call one day to go drive for Roger Penske. Are you kidding me?
Man, dude.
It was
that's amazing.
It was the greatest phone call of my life. I mean, it was that was the culmination of what we worked for, David. That's what you tried so hard for. It didn't work out well. It didn't go like we wanted. But you know what? In the end, Roger and I, it was really cool because a lot of people get bitter about a lot of things.
Right.
I've never been a bitter guy, but I don't burn bridges. And Roger did nothing wrong. Things weren't good that year. There were bad things, things that people don't know, things that, okay. Never sat there and aired them all out and said, this is horrible. But Roger Penske never did nothing wrong to me. Roger Penske gave me an opportunity. It didn't work. But, man, I went to the 50th anniversary. Matter of fact, sit right there.
All right.
Sitting right here. This was the invitation in 2016 to the 50th anniversary of Penske Racing.
Dude, that's amazing, man. Wow.
I was a driver at the 50th anniversary of Penske Racing. I mean, dude. I got to say I drove for Roger Penske, the captain. I was at that dinner. I mean, we're talking, here's the greats of IndyCar. I mean,
absolutely.
Elio and Sam and and I'm in a picture with all these guys going.
Sticking your chest out proud, dude.
Damn right. Hey, I got 4 top 10s for him. I'm there.
Hey, dude. Hey, man, just to get the phone call, and like you said, it didn't work out like you wanted it to, and there's, hundreds of reasons why, but man, you know how many millions and millions and millions of people in the world would have loved to have been in Brendan Gaughan's shoes, man. I would have done anything in the world to have been the one that got that phone call. And hey, just to be driving a Roger Penske car on Sundays in the NASCAR Cup Series, it don't get any better than that. And Brendan, I don't remember, was y'all's relationship where you drove for him for 3 years? Was it 2,
No,
4 years?
just one.
Just one. Okay.
One year for him, but the point wasn't that I got the 1 year for him. To this day, I can still pick up the phone and I can call Roger Penske on his cell phone. He takes my call and says, "How you doing, son? What can I do for you?"
That's amazing.
It's great relationship. Walt Zarnicki. Those that don't know, and outside the sport, there's a man named Walt Zarnicki. Right. One of the greatest human beings alive. And he is Roger's right-hand man. He is the best. But I mean, look, you said there's millions of people that would give anything to do that. And Dominic and Tyler, look, I've seen you guys at the racetrack. I've seen you both around. Dominic, you've interviewed me before. We know that stuff. But I think the one thing that I always made sure I understood, David, and this is what I always appreciated about you too, is we had the same respect on this. I know there's millions of people that would kill to do what we do.
Absolutely.
And I hope, and Dominic, Tyler, this is a question for you guys back. I hope that that's what people think about me, that they know that I appreciated the opportunity and that I tried to give back when I could.
Well, and that's what I think is what's great about this podcast, is telling those stories and getting that message out there. My dad actually was a finance director for a Ford dealership in Tulsa that was owned by Roger Penske.
Right.
And Roger, my dad met him maybe 2 or 3 times a year, no more than 15-minute conversations, and he knew my dad by first name. And my dad every time talked about, I can't believe Roger's photographic memory this guy has. Was just amazed all the time about the grace and just how kind Roger was then.
Definitely explain him as I know him. I don't know Roger Penske like Brendan does, but he, every time, it ain't like we're friends, we're acquaintances, but he knows my name, and it's like, man, it's amazing how this guy can remember my name, because I'm a nobody, but I hear that from everybody, you know what I'm saying? But I want to say, Brendan, one of the things Brendan did for our sport is the engagement that the race car drivers have. If we don't have fans, you don't have a sport. And what he would do for the fans was amazing. I mean, just on the military side, autograph sessions, Brendan would go out of his way, and I never seen him walk away from an autograph session. He was always the last one at any autograph session, or after he win a race, he'd stick around.
Pissed off a lot of people because a lot of people had to stay longer. They didn't like it.
No, but man, you just and I think the sport today, the drivers today, there's not really. And I don't want to say this bad. There's not any more Brendan Gaughans out there that understand how it works. So, what's that, buddy?
Some people would say, "Thank God, there's no more Brendan."
I hear you, man. But man, I have so many fans that come up to me, and man, they all have a Brendan Gaughan story. What you've done for them and how you spent time with them. I mean, it's just, it's almost every race, and they come up to me, and there's one lady, sweetest lady. She's got, you autograph her leg or arm. It's just, you have such a big following. It's just amazing. It's just I think it's just, you were a great racer, always have been, won a lot of NASCAR races, and not everybody can say that. And man, you had a big following. You had an impact on the people that make the sport what it is. You were just so great for the sport. So it was awesome, dude.
It means a lot to hear it from you, and it means a lot to me. But that's, like I said, recognizing Dominic's face, recognizing Tyler's face. The one thing now, do I remember names? Dear God, please don't give me a hard time that I can't remember your damn name. But faces, I'm great with faces. I love to be able to. I love to be able to sign an autograph because if anybody ever knows they've been to a line with me or you, David, I personalize every autograph.
I know you do.
I will ask every single person, and it used to piss off people because if they sat next to me, they used to think, "Oh, now I got to do it," and they get all mad.
Right.
But to me, it wasn't about just putting my head down, signing my name, and throwing a card.
No, you engage with everybody.
Look at them in the eye, say thank you. Give them that card. And I made it sure that I didn't slow down lines. I'm not going to name names of drivers, but so many slow down that line when you're in the big line.
Yeah.
I would pre-sign cards so I could personalize. I learned how to keep up and keep making sure the autograph was a pretty autograph. But to me, I worked when I was 14 years old. When I was 13 years old, I worked at the Binion's Horseshoe in the coffee shop, bussing tables and washing dishes for Mr. Binion.
That's amazing, man. When
I was 14 years old, I was working at the Barbary Coast in the Chinese kitchen with Chef Jimmy, who's still with us to this day.
That's amazing.
When I was 16 years old, I worked in the bathroom at the Barbary Coast with Mel. His name was Molester, M-E-L-S-E-R. Mel, really sweet, 5'0" tall black man who worked for my family for 32 years in a bathroom.
Absolutely.
The man smiled, shined shoes, and cleaned a bathroom for 35 years for my family and always smiled.
He loved what he did, dude, and he did it the best of his ability.
But the point is, how can I not be happy?
Absolutely.
That you're asking me, that Dominic walks up to me and says, "Hey, can I get a quick interview after a race that I wrecked, that I'm pissed off?"
I did that quite a few times.
You've done it a couple times. But in the end, how can I literally go and say, "Screw you"? How can I look at a fan that's standing out at a gate and goes, "I don't have time"? No, this is what you're telling me. All I got to do is sign my name? Hold on. You want me to spend 1 second with you, shake your hand, say thank you, look you in the eye, and sign a picture. And that's my job? Somebody's paying me for this?
Life's good, dude.
I've got one company that's losing a lot of money every month. I got one company that's doing well every month, and I've got casinos that right now aren't good. I'm working my ass off right now. I would give anything to go back to just being paid to sign my name and drive a race car. It's like, so I always knew that back then. I always appreciated that. And, spending that extra second or two with somebody, it's to me, it was, I told some fans a while back, I promise you, it was just as special for me to meet you as it was that people say, "Oh, that's so great." I'm nobody special. I just took the 2 seconds to kneel down to shake a kid's hand or to give a kid, take a picture with somebody and give them rabbit ears, or do the stuff that, we did, David. You and I would walk through a crowd and start following people and goof off it. That's just, if that's what you say is important, that you think made something special, well, then, hey, I rode the short bus too. I'm really happy. I just, to me, that was the easy part of the job.
Absolutely. It was easy, man. It was easy.
That's incredible. That's great.
Absolutely.
I got one more question for you guys before we move on. And you mentioned, Brennan, your involvement in the casino industry. And we know that about your family and the South Point Casino and everything. And I'm a sports bettor myself. I'll admit that. No shame. And so what I wondered, just want to get your opinion. How important do you think that sports betting in NASCAR, betting on racing, is to the future of the sport?
Well, we can start this conversation with saying how far have we come. Yeah. In 2004, I'm driving for Kodak and Roger Penske,
right?
And somebody misquoted me, and somebody tried to write an article that said that it was on the cover of on the front page of sports section, USA Today, that there's a Pete Rose betting scandal in NASCAR brewing because of me.
Come on.
And I'll never forget that because I almost lost my ride with Kodak right before the Daytona 500. And we've gone from me playing college basketball and not being able, being very scared to talk about sports betting.
Right.
And me driving in NASCAR and having, somebody make up a story about this and make a scandal about it. To now, I raced 4 races last year, and I do a live television show from the VSiN Network studio inside the South Point Casino, and I talk about odds on betting on that race. Now, we have a NASCAR betting policy. I don't bet. Right. This year I can bet. I'm not racing. I'm now back betting eligible. But I did a show that I could physically talk about the odds of David Starr in the Nation Xfinity race, Daytona, and his odds. And I can talk about, my odds to win the Daytona 500. I think that's amazing. The question you asked is, how important is it to NASCAR? And I think that sports betting is the single most important thing that NASCAR should be focusing on, because we have the most upside. They've been betting on NFL for years. You've been betting on NCAA for years. You've been betting on baseball. You've been betting on basketball. NASCAR betting is new to our sport. People aren't used to betting on it. And bettors stay vested in a game. Bettors watch. And we don't just have race to win. We now have groups. We have head-to-head. We have David versus Brendan. Yes. What are the odds? Plus 250, minus 350. What are the odds? And now I'm interested in watching 15th place and a 15th place sponsor. They don't get a lot of coverage, do they?
No.
David, we're running 15th. Guess what? I've always said you don't deserve coverage. You're running 15th, run better, you get coverage. But guess what? If the TV focuses on some of these bets, well, I can give you Group F. Group F at a sports book or online, you'll see group matchups. Group F is normally guys like Ty Dillon, Chris Boucher, Bubba Wallace, Michael McDowell, guys that you don't normally talk about, right? Well, guess what? Right now, David Starr and Michael McDowell are Group F, and they're running 18th and 19th side by side. There's 2 laps to go. There are people that have money on that bet. And now it's exciting to them. It's only for 18th and 19th, but guess what? They're watching that 18th and 19th place race because that's something to them. That's what betting does. It gives you the ability to have people cheer for multiple things on the racetrack. It gives television a chance, if they embrace it, to show more than just the top 5, to show more than just the top 10, to show more than just Chase Elliott every race, Dale Jr. every race. Now I can go talk about the guys that don't run as well and give Whataburger 15 more seconds, a minute and a half more seconds of television time, which now lets David go back to Whataburger and say, hey, look what I got today. We got 3.5 minutes of in-focus time because of sports betting. That helps everybody, from the bigs to the littles. Nothing in our sport, I don't care what cost-saving bullshit NASCAR does. You can increase my sponsor value by going through the field and giving me that sort of thing. And we all, David, how many years have we argued, well, NASCAR, can you go through the field to give us more, just give us one mention, blah, blah, blah.
Forever. How long we've been doing this? Forever. Absolutely.
And it doesn't work because just getting that one mention doesn't give you anything.
No,
but make it on sports betting, and now there's a person that has that ticket in their hand is now interested in that 16th place finish. You've made that exciting. You've made the chase every week. You've made a cutoff race every week, because every week I can show 14th and 15th. It means something. If I have the difference between William Byron and Alex Bowman, they're both in Group C, and they're 14th and 15th. Hey, I got $500 on that. Ooh, that's exciting. I want to know that. TV can help us. They just need to embrace it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I just moved to Omaha, and right on that Iowa border, and you got all those casinos with sports books there in Iowa and Council Bluffs. And you betcha, I'll be ready when NASCAR rolls around to hit that up. But that's the future. That's where we're going, and I'm excited about that. And hopefully, Brendan, you get a bigger voice in this as we go along here. Brendan, would like you to stick around. We got just a couple more things before we get out of here today. Our NASCAR News and Notes segment. Dominic, what do we got this week?
Sure. So every week on the show, we take a look at the top NASCAR news and headlines and get reactions from the top stories around the sport. This week kicks off the week for the Chili Bowl, and you have a lot of NASCAR stars trying to make the A-main. So some of the names we got there include Kyle Larson, the defending race winner, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Justin Allgaier, Chase Briscoe, J.J. Haley, and Ryan Ellis in no particular order. You have 307 entries in this year's race. It's a little down from last year, but the A-main will take place on Saturday night.
That's right in my hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Guys, the Chili Bowl, that's a special event. We've heard Kyle Larson say that's as big to him as the Daytona 500 is.
It's bigger. I mean, hold on. Well, I think I heard J.J. Yaley on the radio today, David, saying there's 360 race cars there.
That's amazing, man. 360. That's unheard of.
And Tyler, how many make the A main? 20?
If that, yeah, that sounds about right.
You know, I mean, you can't fit more than freaking 20 in the car.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so to me, that's just to make that A main is absolutely a top tier accomplishment for any driver. And right now, Kyle Larson, I don't know another driver in the world that is riding the high that Kyle Larson is riding right. He absolutely dominated every dirt sport for the last 8 months. Dirt late models, dirt modifieds, sprint cars, World of Outlaw. I don't care. You name the dirt car, Kyle Larson kicked your butt the last 8 months. So,
and Brendan, those guys are going to love it when he steps back in to a cup car, because he's not going to be able to compete against them every week. You know what I mean? So it's going to give other people a shot at winning. But that, man, Kyle Larson was just incredible. You know, if he was in that race, you pretty much bet he was going to win it. But, and like you said, it was a late model dirt car, sprint car, midget car. It didn't matter, man. It was just amazing how good he is. He's just got great car control. He's phenomenal. Phenomenal. You know what I mean?
The NASCAR side, you know, look, NASCAR brings in a lot of attention, which is why, you know, Dominic is reporting on it. Why Tyler and these guys, you know, the Chili Bowl is big, but NASCAR guys bring that television coverage, bring that national media coverage. You know, so I mean, guys like Rico Abreu, who didn't quite make it in NASCAR, but you want to look up a hell of a story, look up the story of Rico Abreu. You know,
absolutely.
I mean, he's classified as a midget or a dwarf. I don't know. I'm not trying to be insensitive. I know
it is what it is.
He's one or the other.
Yes.
But when he had that NASCAR Truck Series ride, David.
Yeah.
Did you ever see his seat?
Dude, I looked in there. I couldn't believe. I'm kind of floored that I didn't take pictures, man. It was unbelievable.
No, I took pictures of it. It was the most amazing thing watching Rico drive, because he is a little person. He has one of the two things. He's dwarf or midget, and he is. They had to put special pedal boxes in for him, and they had to build the seat. It looked like a child's seat in this thing. I mean, Riley Hurst in a
built child seat, man. It was unbelievable.
But Rico Abreu is a super stud. He's won it 2 years ago. He won it, I think.
Yeah, he has.
2 or 3 years ago, Rico's won it. Kyle won it last year. Christopher Bell's won. You know, there are some NASCAR guys that are super studs in this thing that can flat out drive and win this thing. I'm going to be watching for Rico. I'm going to be watching for Kyle. And, you know, guys, don't sleep on Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick is, I think he's going to it.
Right.
Dominic, am I correct? I thought I saw him on the entry list. I think Tyler's back. Tyler Reddick's back. But Tyler Reddick is also a dirt super stud.
Absolutely. And, you know, what's kind of cool is Chase Elliott's there, you know, and his new teammate, Kyle Larson, you know, I'm kind of interested to see how Chase does, you know, with some help from Kyle Larson. So that's kind of cool, you know. So it's really awesome to see our NASCAR guys step into the dirt world and have success, you know. And like you were saying, Brandon, Kyle Larson, you know, J.J. Yaley, on and on and on. These guys have come from that type.
No, I almost forgot Justin Allgaier. He's phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely, man. Your teammate, former teammate, and these guys are phenomenal dirt races, you know. But pretty cool, you know.
No doubt. What else we got, Dom?
Sure. So other news that NASCAR announced too on January 8th, we found out how many races will actually include practice and qualifying. On that list includes the Daytona 500 and other venues that NASCAR is going to be visiting for the first time in the Cup Series, including the Bristol Motor Speedway Dirt Race in March, Circuit of the Americas in May, along with the Coke 600 the week after. And then you have Nashville in June, Road America in July, and the Indianapolis Road Course race August 15th. The only playoff race that will have practice and qualifying will be the season finale at Phoenix on November 7th.
I'm glad I'm not racing anymore, because I don't know how these guys – I mean, look, I did the last couple races at Super Speedways without practice, which, got to tell you, kind of nice last year without practice. Just saying, at Super Speedway, less stress. But, I mean, David, can you imagine coming in this sport as Chase Briscoe and
no practice?
No practice?
Dude, it's unbelievable to imagine when we were coming into the sport. And we took advantage of it, man. That practice was so critical to us, for us.
On pit road, you and I remember sitting on pit road waiting for Randy Tolsma. Waiting
so I could follow him.
Yeah, going out in Martinsville and saying, "Where's Dennis Setzer?"
Absolutely.
And waiting for Dennis Setzer, and then when Dennis goes out,
I'm following. Learn something.
That's what we did. Nowadays,
I
mean, it's tough. These kids coming in now, I know they got the simulators and all that, but I don't do the simulator.
Well, I don't either. I tried, but it makes me sick. I can't do it. It's not, to me, it's not real. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't give me the feel. It doesn't give me what I need.
Listen, put a 10-pound sledgehammer on a pendulum. When I hit the wall, bring it down and break a rib. Until then, it's not real.
It's not real.
And, to me, that's what makes Cole Custer's win last year at Kentucky even more
huge. No practice. Rookie. I mean, look, rookies now have a little more experience because they've done Xfinity for a while, or trucks.
Right,
but to me, that was a huge win, Tyler, because here's a guy with no practice, struggling all season. He was not a talk of the rookie class most of the season, and he goes out and kicks their butt at Kentucky. That was awesome.
That was really a big story. That was a big deal,
It was. So, Dom, I think we got one more.
Yeah, we got one more. So Kaulig Racing has announced they're going to be stepping a little bit more into the Cup Series in 2021. Kaulig Racing announced earlier this month that they're going to make it no secret that they intend to attempt the Daytona 500 like they did last year, as well as some of the road course races with the expanded schedule with more road course events in 2021. No word on the press release on who the driver is going to be just yet, but you got to imagine A.J. Allmendinger is going to be the driver unless it's already been announced.
Brendan, you know something we don't know?
You got A.J. Allmendinger driving full-time in the Xfinity Series for you, and you're going to go do a truck race, or the first Cup race ever at Road America.
Yeah.
Do I need to look real far? No. Stick the dinger in the thing. They're not stupid. He's got a hell of a deal, man. He's turning that thing into a hell of a team.
Absolutely.
He's licking his chops at these Cup races with Dinger in it.
And Brendan,
this Kaulig group, they've been impressive, haven't they, the last few years?
Well, I'm going to go back and let Brendan talk about this, because Brendan, I want to say that Brendan, his last 9 years drove for Richard Childress Racing on the Xfinity side, and then his affiliation with that Beard Motorsports, that was affiliated with RCR. But you look at Kaulig Racing, they was almost like a teammate to Brendan. He can elaborate more on that team, because I think they were based there at RCR's race shop. So Brendan, what do you think, buddy?
Well, look, you want to talk about a team that's grown. I like it, David, because look, I started my own team in Vegas, right?
Absolutely.
I started a team. I was a startup. We built. We got good. And that was a cool deal. So I remember when Blake Cook was walking around the garage trying to shop some company called Leaf Filter.
Yeah.
Nobody had heard of him. Nobody cared about him. Nobody heard nothing. Couldn't find good rides. So this Leaf Filter guy says, "I'm going to own a race team." Listen, we've seen these guys 100 times.
They come and go, man.
Year or two, and they leave. This guy, this Matt Kaulig guy, it's like, man, I am so proud of what he's done. I watched the day they moved on to the RCR campus.
Right.
They moved from down in Mooresville area. They made a deal with RCR. They took one of the buildings on campus and said we're going to do it right here. They're a satellite team. They started out slow, got better, and now they've turned themselves into a legitimate title contender. And now he's talking about Cup racing. I'm telling you, I'm in Las Vegas. We don't need many Leaf Filter gutters, unfortunately, out here in Las Vegas. But I put one on my house just because I like Matt Kaulig enough. I'm like, hey, I'll put one on. I don't care. I like the man. This guy, he's got brass, steel clanking, and he is, you got to give him credit. Really proud of him. And they have taken that team. Chris Rice, too. A lot of credit to Chris Rice.
Absolutely.
David, you wasn't he your crew chief at one point, too?
I never crew chief for me, but he's been around forever, and I'm proud of him because he, him along with Matt, they collaborated and they done something really special, and it's amazing to see because, like you said, Brendan, we've seen these guys come and go, hundreds of them,
More money than, he's got more money than God.
Absolutely.
I've gone bankrupt an awful lot in this sport.
Yes.
All right, guys. Last segment here. Time for Ask David, where we ask people to submit their questions on Facebook, Twitter, and via email, starpodcast@gmail.com. And we got a few questions to respond to. This one comes from, I think you might know this guy. His name's Noah, @Noah Gregson on Twitter.
You know him, Brendan.
Noah writes, what is Brendan's favorite flavor of CLS?
Cherry lemon, without a doubt, baby. Cherry lemon is the reason. Cherry lemon is the reason that I started the distillery. It may have allegedly been made by a NASCAR official, allegedly. I mean,
Allegedly.
I may have allegedly drank a jar or two of it back in the day.
I wonder if he's still a NASCAR official.
Not NASCAR official. NASCAR has no affiliation, and it was allegedly.
Allegedly, okay.
Allegedly,
Oh,
yes.
Oh man, that's awesome, man.
another
That's
question.
a great question from Noah Grayson, man. That's pretty
I've
awesome.
never heard of the guy. It sounds not a great name, though. I think we ought to watch out for that name.
Yeah, we should watch him, you know.
Got another one. This one on Twitter from Mark, @BlaneyFanMark. For both of you, tell me your best Paul Menard story.
Menard.
Oh man.
So I don't know, David, if you have any. But I mean, I was teammates with Paul. I drove for the Menards a dozen or so times. Paul is a very private man, and we will leave Paul's private stories private because that's the way Paul likes it. And that's why I can still call him a friend, because we don't talk about Paul.
Absolutely. Man, you know, the Menard family, John Menard, you know, years ago, Brendan, when back before Wayne Spears hired me, I was in and out of different truck teams, and my Uncle Mike bought a truck, and we had one truck, and I think we bought an engine from RCR, and, you know, I think we finished in the top 5 4 times out of the 5 starts, you know. So the phone rings, and it's John Menard. It was amazing, you know. It's like kind of hearing from Roger Penske. It's like,
Yeah.
John Menard, you know. And he wanted Mike, my Uncle Mike, and myself to move up to St. Clair, Wisconsin. I hope I'm saying that right, to where his corporate office is. And he wanted my uncle to be the crew chief and me to be his driver in the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series. And Mike said, he said, nephew, he said, I love you, and I want to see you take advantage of this opportunity, but I'm not moving. You know, racing school is doing great. You know, we're so busy. And he said, hey, man, I cannot accept what John wants us to do. And John was right. It was a team, me and him together. And when Mike said, I can't do it, John said, well, man, I appreciate you guys. And we've been great friends ever since then. But that going up there and meeting with John Menard and that process, Paul was racing late models. He was just getting started, and he wasn't even a NASCAR driver then. And but man, he is private. He's been a good friend. I can go over and talk to him, soft spoken, just a nice guy. But he's even they had some meetings with him. Meet me at a restaurant where that John and Paul Menard would take some of my sponsors and understand about their products and almost put them in their stores. So they're great people, man. They've helped a lot of people. John and Paul have been great for NASCAR racing, and look what John Menard's done in the whole industry. Brendan knows him well. I'm just honored that we're friends, but I think Brendan
in this sport, to me, of all the wins, I mean, Dale Jr. winning after Senior passed away at Daytona, you know, there's great stories. To me, the greatest win that I ever got to watch that I was happy about was watching Paul Menard win the Brickyard, because John Menard has tried to win that race, any Indy race, IndyCar or not. I mean, he has tried to win that race for so many decades. That to me was the greatest race win ever, was watching Paul win the Brickyard. I've never been more proud for a family.
Yeah, that was man. I remember that, and that absolutely, Brendan. You brought up those are great memories, and I forgot about that. But that, I mean, if you're going to win any race, I mean, for the Menard family and for Paul and for John, the winning the Brickyard 400, I mean, that couldn't have been scripted any better. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And if you ask Paul, what, you know, if you could pick any race out of all the racing he's ever done, he would have told you it would have been the Brickyard 400. So that worked out really great.
Dominic, you got something on Paul?
Yeah, not as good as stories of you guys, but last year at Las Vegas, prior to the pandemic, 2019, him and David Reagan had both announced that they were stepping away full time. So made it one of my goals that weekend to chase down both those guys and just ask them, hey, what's next? What's, is broadcasting going to be something in the cards? And David Reagan was like, oh yeah, I'm not ruling that out. I was like, okay, so I got to go chase down Paul, and I find him, and we're walking through the garage together after the race, and he's telling me about his run, and I ask him, hey, Paul, so what's the likelihood of seeing you maybe in the broadcast booth or doing something as a driver analyst role? And he looks at me and goes, absolutely not, and he ended the interview.
The answer from Paul.
Oh, I've interviewed Paul a couple times, and one time we spent 10 minutes just talking about lawn mowing. He was very intense, very passionate about mowing his lawn.
Paul is a guy that's one of those that is probably one of the most fun guys you're ever going to meet, but people don't know it. People don't realize it because he people call Jimmy Johnson vanilla. I've known Jimmy. We've been friends since we were 15 years old. He's not vanilla, but that's what you see. Paul is private, but he is honestly one of the greatest dudes you're ever going to find. And he likes it that way, and he wants to keep it that way, that's his way. He's not loud and obnoxious like me and David. He likes it the other way.
Last question for you guys. This one's from Lori. Lori writes, what's you guys' favorite or luckiest gambling machine that you like to play when trying to win the big bucks? What's the most you have ever lost or won?
Well, Lori, I'm from Las Vegas, and I'm not supposed to play my machines, so I can't say that. And I've lost plenty on tables, and I've learned my lesson on tables. But David, you're going to have to answer the machine one for her.
I'm not much on machines. I'm kind of a table guy. Back when I won my first race in the NASCAR Cape World Truck Series, when we won Vegas, my family, everybody was there. Man, they're big gamblers. So. When you finally leave the racetrack, it's late, and I don't want the day to end. You know how when you win, Brendan, you want to freeze that time,
Yep.
And then I stayed at the racetrack forever, but I finally made it back to the hotel. I think I was staying at the Orleans. I think I was staying at the Orleans Y'all's Hotel, and my family actually came over to the Orleans where I was staying because they wasn't staying there, and we visited. And then we went to playing blackjack at the Orleans. And I think we played for about 2 hours, and I think I started with $500. And I got down to about 100. And I actually told it was my grandmother was there, and my mom and my dad. And there was some others, but I said, hey, I'm done, guys. They're like, what? I'm like, man, I have lost $400. You know what I mean? I lost 400. I got 100 left, and I'm going to put that 100 back in my pocket. And they said, are you kidding me? You just won the race here at Las Vegas, and that's all you're going to play? And so anyway, that was it.
Hey, smart man, Starr.
I don't know about that, but man, I love, when I come to the South Point, man, I love sitting at those blackjack tables, and you can play for 4, 5, 6 hours. And man, you can go up, you can go down. You go up, you go down. You're entertaining yourself, and you hope when you get up from the table that you're ahead with. You got more than what you started with. So I love the tables. And I very seldom play the machines, but I just love to gamble. And my saying was, Brendan, people say, man, you know how it was we raced to Vegas. Everybody said, hey man, have you won? What did you play? And somebody would win big. And they say, Starr, have you gambled yet? I said, dude, I don't gamble till after the race is over with, because if I have any luck, I need it to be with me when I'm racing. You know what I
mean? You didn't fall in that group those years. That was why you won that race in 2002. I took all the big competitors out in 2002 and got them absolutely shit-faced till 3 in the morning. And I didn't drink that night. I made sure I was drinking Diet Pepsi all night. And I'll never forget Coy Gibbs on the radio. They said he called on the radio and goes, that mother Gaughan, I'm going to kill him. Because I had Coy, I had
Charlie Hornaday.
I had I can't. I had like 5 or 6 of the guys of the A-list guys.
Right.
I got them hammered.
Well, man, I never knew you did that, and I want to thank you. All these years later, dude.
Yeah,
I want to thank nobody.
Hey, that's why I invite you to 03 the next year to go out with me.
Dominic and I, we've had some good times there in the Albuquerque casino.
Albuquerque casinos. I think we hung out one night at the Hollywood Casino there at Kansas Speedway after a day at the track, and we've had some good casino trips. But Tyler came out and visited me last year here in Grants, New Mexico, and he stayed a few days. And we'd gone to one of the casinos that had reopened, and man, everything Tyler would touch, I swear, it seemed like he just had good luck. He'd get on the slot machine and he'd be up $10-20. We'd go play some roulette or some blackjack, and he'd go win another 20 or $30. And I think he actually made money coming out here on that trip.
I paid for my trip gambling with Dominic. Yeah. Oh gosh.
You don't always happen that way, that's for sure.
Right? It doesn't. No, certainly not. Brendan, before we let you go, thanks for hanging out with us, man. Tell us what the next few weeks look like for you as you get ready, as we get towards Daytona and everything here these next several weeks, man.
Well, I mean, look, I'm working, man. I got to run my businesses out here. I'm going to be busy with those things. My youngest son, Ryland, is 8. He's driving racing a little side-by-side up at Glen Helen Raceway. So we'll be out at Glen Helen racing with him. Maybe do a little BMX racing with my oldest son before then. So doing this kid stuff, running the businesses, trying to find a way to get these casinos back at 100%, working hard on trying to figure whatever out we got to figure out to get us back going to be at full strength. And then I will be at Daytona with the Beard family.
Awesome.
I will not be the driver. That is 1,000% my choice. They did let me have a pretty big hand in picking the driver. The announcement will be coming in a few days from now, as we're sitting here doing this on a Tuesday. So announcement should be this week. The driver's going, and I'm very happy with my choice of driver. And so I'm excited that the Beards, we're going to go try to see if we can't keep our streak alive and make it the Daytona 500.
There we go.
That'd be awesome, man.
David, what's going on with you this week, man?
Well, first of all, let me say I'm just glad that Brendan's you're such a part of the sport for such a long time. It's good to know that you're still going to have a part in it, and I think you always will. You know what I mean? I can't imagine the sport not being a part of it. I think so. I'm glad to hear that, and man, I can assure you guys, tomorrow I got 2-3 meetings tomorrow, and I got to fly up to Kansas City on Thursday and be up there for. I'm going actually the Kansas City Chiefs game on Sunday, but I got some good partners that been helping me for years. Going to visit with those guys and just trying to, put everything together so I can make an announcement. Daytona, it ain't like Daytona's just right around the corner. You know what I mean? So pretty stressful time, but hopefully we'll have an announcement soon here in a week or two, and I'll get to go down there and hang out with Brendan and get back to racing at Daytona.
There we go. I like it. Dominic, what's on the Racing Experts this week?
Yeah, we're just covering the daily happenings of the industry, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Racing Experts. We do a lot of merchandising giveaways, and yeah, a lot of fun doing the show with you guys. Brendan, we got to have you back for sure. And Tyler, actually, who our next guest is next week. Who's coming on next week with Let's Go Racing? We're
going to bring on Jeff Bodine. He's going to be the second guest on Let's Go Racing. So looking forward to having Jeff. That's Jeff with a J, or with a G on next week.
You got that? Come on now.
Right. And so we'll look forward to talking to Jeff next week here on Let's Go Racing.
Make sure you ask him about bobsledding.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You will hear some great stories about bobsledding. Jeff Bodine is a huge supporter of bobsledding. He actually got me into a real bobsled. We got to go bobsledding at Lake Placid because of Jeff Bodine. So,
wow.
You ever did the Bodine Bobsled Challenge?
Yep. I was part of it 2 years.
Awesome.
Man, that's amazing. Great. We got something to talk about, guys. That's awesome. Hey, Brendan, hey, man, buddy, I can't thank you enough, man. When we were talking about, hey, guys, Dominic and Tyler, who's going to be our first guest, man? It was like, I didn't hesitate. Brendan Gaughan, you know what I mean? So, I
appreciate it. Well, you better make sure you tell Kim that I heard Kim was actually the first guest. So
Kim,
don't take away from All-Star.
And to be quite honest with you, Kim was our first guest, and when we were talking about first guests, she was the one. She was telling me it would only be right to have Brendan Gaughan. So it was actually Kim that came up with that. But anyway, buddy, we appreciate, dude. You're awesome.
Yeah.
We appreciate your stories, your time, and man, it's just hard to believe that you won't climb through a window, race again with us. You know what I mean? But you had your impact, and you'll leave all the old. I'm starting to be the only old guy out there now. You know what I'm saying? So
listen, I liked it when you raced, David, because I wasn't the oldest guy in the field when I raced with you. So it's all good.
Maybe David's going to be the next Morgan Shepherd when this is all said and done.
Hey, man,
I won't let him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, hey, man, Brendan, thank you, buddy.
We got to go. As always, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Star Podcast. Also on Facebook, Let's Go Racing with David Starr. You can find us there. Subscribe to the show. New episodes out each and every week on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, also on YouTube as well to see the video version. You can check us out there. We certainly would appreciate it. We'll drop the checkered flag on this episode of Let's Go Racing, and we will see you next week. For David Starr, Brendan Gaughan, and Dominic Oregon, I'm Tyler Jones saying so long. This has been another edition of Let's Go Racing.